Let me ask you something. How many times have you tried a new marketing tactic hoping it'd be the silver bullet, only to feel like it just lit your budget on fire? Yeah, you're not alone. I've been there. We have all been there. Most B2B business owners I talk to are stuck in the marketing maze. They're guessing and testing random lead gen tactics with no real plan, just hoping something finally works. And that guesswork, it's exhausting. Today, I'm going to help you get off that hamster wheel and start focusing on what actually drives results. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult and it definitely shouldn't be guesswork. So I'm jumping in talking to you today about lead generation without guesswork, how to focus on what actually works. So first and foremost, let's just dig into why lead generation often feels like a crapshoot, right? You're throwing spaghetti up against a wall, hoping something sticks. And even if it does stick, you don't know why it worked, right? Most B2B businesses do not have a lead generation problem. They think they do, but what they actually have is a marketing engine problem. Okay, when we look at building marketing engines for the clients that we work with, we focus on three key areas: strategy, planning, and leadership. Strategy is the fuel for the engine. Planning is where you're picking parts and assembling the engine, right? You're choosing the marketing tactics you're going to use to build your engine. And then leadership is where you've got to have a mechanic, somebody who is overseeing and maintaining that engine so that it runs efficiently and that it's being optimized on an ongoing basis. Most businesses just think, "Oh, I'm not generating enough leads. It's a tactics problem. It's a problem with my lead generation," and it's not, because if you skip strategy, you have no fuel for the engine, and if you lack leadership, you have no mechanic to maintain the engine, and that's not going to work long term either. Right? When there's no strategy in place, every new tactic is just another guess. It's just another part into an engine that has no fuel. Some of the common symptoms that you'll see if you're in this place are inconsistent results, high cost per lead, right? Lack of quality leads, right? You're not generating leads, which again leads people to think like, "Oh my gosh, I've got a lead gen problem." But it's not. It's a marketing engine problem. Right? And so what we're doing when we're just jumping from tactic to tactic, guessing, is we're building an engine that has no fuel, and you're not going to go anywhere. That's why lead generation traditionally feels like a crapshoot, that you're guessing, right? That you're stuck in this maze going this way, and then you turn around and try and go another way. It is no way to build a marketing engine that is going to yield consistent, repeatable results. So, what do we do about it? I'm going to give you three filters for evaluating any lead gen tactic. Okay. If you followed me for any amount of time, you know I like to keep things as simple as possible. It is so easy to overcomplicate things with marketing, but we get results by focusing on simplicity. So, what are the three filters? If you're looking at lead generation tactics, how do you evaluate them? There are three key filters. Okay. One is strategic fit, two is return on investment potential, and three is execution readiness. So let's dig into these just a little bit. So, strategic fit: does this tactic align with your ideal clients? Is it going to get you in front of your ideal clients? If the answer is no, then there's no strategic fit, right? Will it help you reach decision makers in your niche, right? In decision makers that are your ideal clients. Okay, if the answer is no, then you do not have strategic fit. When we look at ROI potential, return on investment potential, we need to ask ourselves questions like, can this tactic be tracked and measured? There's a lot of marketing, especially brand building, awareness that just can't be tracked. And in my opinion, for small business owners, that's probably not something you should be doing. Okay. We want to focus on marketing activities that we can track and that we can measure to determine whether we're getting a return on investment or not. Another question to ask is, are the results worth the investment in time and money? Okay. Initially, without having the actual data and doing it, you're not necessarily going to know for sure, but you should have a general idea of, hey, if this is going to work for us, this is what likely needs to happen. And if what likely needs to happen is not realistic, right, then it's not passing muster. So, again, we can't truly evaluate return on investment until we actually do it, but we can gauge the potential return on investment. And if that's not looking good, if it's not checking those boxes, then it's a no, right? We need to know, can it be tracked and measured? And based on what we believe the potential outcomes may be, are the results worth the investment? So, strategic fit, we talked about, return on investment potential, I just touched on. Then we need to look at execution readiness. And when we talk about execution readiness, we're looking at, do you have the internal bandwidth or the outside support to do this well? If you don't have the bandwidth to do it well, you're not going to implement and execute well, which means it's not going to work. Is this something you can stick with consistently for at least 90 days? If the answer is no, then you either need to scrap it, or you need to figure out how you can get internal bandwidth to do it, or how you can hire outside support to do it. Okay. If a tactic, a marketing lead gen tactic you are looking at doesn't pass all three of these filters, it's probably not the right fit. Okay. That doesn't mean it's not the right fit forever. It just means it's not the right fit for now. Okay. You can't, if it's only checking one of these boxes, it's not going to work. It has to check all three boxes. So when you're evaluating lead gen tactics, make sure that it's checking all three: strategic fit, return on investment potential, and execution readiness. If it checks all three, then you can proceed. If it doesn't, stop and look at something else. Last thing we want to look at is ditching the guesswork with a roadmap. Once you know something, it passes those three strategic filters, we have to have an idea of, like, what are we actually doing? Do we know what we need to be focusing on? That's where a roadmap comes into play. Okay. So when we look at a roadmap, what we're doing is, instead of chasing tactics, we're starting with clarity on what actually moves the needle. Okay, we've got to understand what needs to be done to get where we want to go before worrying about how you'll actually get it done. So many people just jump right into taking action without really knowing, what do you need to do? Is this particular action what makes the most sense for you based on where you currently are and where you want to get to? We have to start with a roadmap or a plan. I like to call them roadmaps, but you can use them interchangeably. Okay. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're just throwing stuff up against a wall. That is not going to work. And there is no one size fits all marketing plan. You need a plan that is bespoke to your business. Every business is unique. There are similarities, and we can take overarching fundamentals, right, that have worked in general, but we've got to take those fundamentals and then mold that plan to fit you and your business because everybody's business is different. You're at different places, you have different goals, you have different resources, and all of those things impact what needs to go in your roadmap. Okay. And your roadmap should focus on where are your fast track revenue opportunities and what needs to be done from a strategic standpoint to get where you want to go. Okay. Having a roadmap eliminates guesswork. It gives you focus and clarity. And when we have focus and clarity, we can eliminate distraction, right? Which reduces stress. Okay. So important, right? And a roadmap points you straight to your next best moves, right? So think of a roadmap like Waze, right? The traffic app for your marketing, right? You plug in your destination and it gives you the fastest route based on your current conditions. Okay. So that's how we turn lead generation from guesswork into focus, right? And a focus on what actually is going to work. Okay. We need to have a roadmap and we need to leverage those three filters for evaluating any lead generation tactics that we're considering. Okay. So I hope you found this helpful. Lead generation doesn't have to feel like gambling. When you filter tactics through strategy, return on investment, and readiness, and back it with a real roadmap, you're going to have clarity, confidence, and control over your marketing efforts. There's no more throwing stuff up at the wall, just focused execution on what matters most. So I hope you found this helpful. If you want help building your roadmap, or you just want to talk through where your next best lead gen opportunities are, head over to our website. It's rialtomarketing.com. That's RIALTO marketing.com, and book a free discovery call. Okay. Let's ditch the guesswork and build your marketing engine right. Connect with us over there. I look forward to it when you do. In the meantime, till next time, take care.